Production funding for Making It Up North is provided by the citizens of Minnesota through the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
You know, basically you're a farmer and you have live animals and they depend on you for their care. There are no sick days, there are no off days, there are no optional vacations. You have to live the lifestyle.
We want people to come down the river, have an interactive, fun adventure. Overall, I hope that it makes them care a little bit more about like conservation of like not just the St. Louis River, but just the entire world over, you know, and just make an emotional connection.
There's a lot of life lessons to be gained on the river in whitewater, but at the end of the day, it's fun.
They take off out of here really fast, so hang on tight.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Our pace is significantly higher than what most of the touring kennels do, because these are all sprint racing sled dogs. So I wanted to be able to still run the dogs at their high pace while, you know, giving rides.
Doing all right back there?
I'm doing good.
Good.
It's great.
We provide sled dog rides for the public. We have a variety of rides. We have a longer ride, which is close to an hour. It's about 10 miles. And then we have a tandem ride where people can actually stand on the back of the sled with me and then get the experience of driving a dog team without actually driving a dog team and the liability that comes with that.
Okay, sharp left here.
My name is Tony Coughlin. I'm the owner of Endurance Kennels LLC, and we provide sled dog rides with our sprint racing sled dogs.
Yeah, it was like a jet taking off. They are fast and powerful. I was a little apprehensive at first, didn't know how much balance you were going to need and how intense it was going to be, but you get the hang of it really fast.
I started out with 7 dogs in town, and then I moved to a kennel in Iron River, Wisconsin, and they became my mentors and taught me a lot. They showed me a lot. If you work with mentors, you're going to save yourself a ton of time. And Deb and Steve took me underneath their wing and helped me out a lot. And a lot of my bloodline comes from their kennel, so I'm kind of carrying on what they were looking for. Yeah, so I moved here, didn't know I was going to give rides, and it just evolved into that to where I was able to quit my full-time job and say, you know, take that big risk, that big jump, and say I'm going to do this with everything that I got, with all the skill sets that I learned from all the other, you know, all the other stuff that I was doing, web design, marketing, photography, promotions, all that stuff, and just combine it and focus so that, you know, we could you know, do what we're doing now.
Welcome back to Sled Dog TikTok. I'm just finishing up here, doing morning water.
I went to school for marketing, so it's so fun to see like how dogs bring people together on the internet.
We got in the bucket there, Cece.
A lot of beef organ, a little bit of dog kibble and some water.
One of our first videos, like, and Tony doesn't plan them at all. He was like, okay, Cece, just tell us about how you're feeding. And I started talking, and then I like sent the video to my parents. I'm like, you guys, we're at like 2.5 million views on this like video of me feeding the dogs dinner.
Ooh, nummy.
My daily routine, I get up at 4:30 in the morning, and I usually groom the trail in the morning and plow if I need to so that customers can get here. And then I do water in the morning, and then my staff arrives. They do their chores, and then if I'm busy fixing sleds or getting things arranged, I'll have the staff give the tour.
This is Domino. She's super sweet. And she's got the bright blue eyes too. And so most all of the dogs were bred here. We have a few dogs that are from other mushers. Otherwise, try to have a litter every year. This spring, we're hoping to have 2 to 3 litters, just because we need more dogs.
Yeah, so right now we have 42 dogs. We'll be expanding hopefully this summer with litters of puppies. Because we always have seniors that are moving on that are not running anymore, just because they can't physically. Mentally they want to do it, but physically they can't. So you want to be, when we're having puppies, we want to think 5 years in advance. So the puppies really don't do much running until they're almost 2 years old. Right now we have 11-month-old puppies that run once a day, 3 times a week. So, and then the older adults, the seniors, run 3-4 times a day, and the young racing class of adults can run 5-6 times a day.
But yeah, so this is the board, and we have all of the names of the dogs and then their harness size. And Tony will just make up a team.
We try to keep everybody fresh so that we're not running dogs twice in a row. Yeah, we try to pair up siblings because they're similar size, similar disposition, personality.
And then we'll look at the board and go get the dogs and stage them on the line here.
Yana's.
Yana. So this is your team right here.
With the COVID-19, we were shut down last March because all the hotels and Airbnbs were kicking everybody out. And then coming into this season, I really didn't know what was going to happen because it's optional. We're tourism basically, and it was pretty scary. But then come November, people started to book, and they started getting ready for December, and they were calling and asking good questions. And December, Christmas, New Year's is our busiest time of the year. So when that started filling up, I knew that we were good to go.
The dogs are kind of like talking and trying to like let you know, like, hey, I want to run, when they start barking before we take a team out. And then once the harnesses hit the ground and they know, like they see that the team's been picked, all the dogs really mellow out and they're like, oh, okay. But then they're more just kind of complaining a little bit until the team's gone, then they move on.
We get people every hour on our schedule, and we just go all day until the end of the day. Okay, really sharp right-hand turn coming up here. It's the hardest one. I wouldn't be able to do this all on my own. I would maybe do 2 or 3 rides a day because it just wears on your body. So we're able to do the volume that we can just because of these kids.
Oh, look at this. Wow. I think it's a rare breed of people. Not everyone wants to do that hard work and keep pounding your head against the same wall in hopes of things like making it. And I think with our TikTok we've got going on and just the amounts of people that come here from all over the world, it's a big sense of pride for all of us that work here to know dog sledding is something people really value and need.
They're fast and strong, and just all friendly. You can tell they love the attention and love pulling and doing the work, and it was a lot of fun.
You can tell he really loves what he's doing.
No, straight, Yana, straight. Success, I think I'm probably about 50% of where I want to be with this business. We're getting there, little improvements, but I just keep investing These kids make more money than I do. I just keep putting everything into capital so that we can keep growing, and then eventually, you know, I'll work on that for myself.
The biggest thing they've probably taught me is like to get outside more. It's kind of simple as that. When it's like sleeting or raining and you're out here and the dogs are still like, I want to go, and they remind me like, you gotta keep going. You gotta like do the things that make you feel really happy and good.
And then once we're all done giving rides for the day, we feed, and then I send the staff home and we do it again the next day.
I started paddling the St. Louis River in 1999, and I really fell in love with whitewater. That's the whole reason I moved to Minnesota in the first place. Is I had grown up in Wisconsin, and my dad moved to Duluth in like 96 or 97, and I came to visit him and in one May after a really good snowpack year. And we drove up the North Shore, and there's all these rivers raging into Lake Superior, and I was like, oh my God, I want to kayak those, you know? So I'm like, maybe I'll go to college here. And so I ended up moving up here and going to school here and learning to kayak. My name is Cliff Langley, owner-operator of Swiftwater Adventures in Carlton, Minnesota.
I had guided with Cliff for a couple of years before this, and the previous company that we worked for was shutting down, and Cliff was getting this off of the ground. And just as a way of life, I needed to keep doing it. So my name is Brian Pfeiffer, and we're here at Swiftwater Adventures, whitewater rafting and kayaking. Cliff had a vision for this, and I knew Cliff well enough that he's so determined to make it work, that I saw that too, and that really gave me that mindset too, that nothing is going to stop us ever.
Do this group of 4, this group of 5, this group of 7.
I would say this year is really the tough one. This has been a really uncertain time. We didn't know. It seemed sort of far-fetched that it would even touch us, and then all of a sudden we lost all of our May, which is traditionally youth groups, church groups, high school senior class trips, stuff like that.
You guys are Johnsons right there, right? You're gonna go into the middle and shut the door, and then Stout, crew 7, you guys are just gonna sit in the front compartment. So you can let the other 2 groups load in first, and then you guys will load.
The choke point for us is transportation. We took our bus and divided it into separate chambers so people can come with their family units or their quarantine unit and stay together.
One group goes in, shuts the door, and then the next group, so that you're not breathing each other's air. Logistically, it is, I want to say nightmare, but it's difficult. You know, because we're not, like for us, we're not mixing households. So in most years, you have a group of 3 and another group of 3, you pair them together in a raft to make a raft of 6. Well, this year, we don't mix those households because you can't be socially distanced on a raft with the group of 3. There's 2 in the front, and then 2 in the middle and 2 in the back. So then you have a stranger next to a stranger, and, you know, you're rubbing elbows, and it's like, it doesn't work. So, I mean, it's definitely less profitable this year. But we're like, okay, we're still gonna do it. So then a raft of 3 is a raft on their own. We don't mix households.
Don't worry about what you can't do, figure out what you can do, which is really the only reason we're in business. I mean, we're fortunate that we're working in the outdoors, and the science and data is coming out that being in the fresh air is a much safer environment.
Sometimes on Sundays, because they're Saturdays. I don't want to say anxiety, but there always is a little bit of anxiousness and just whatever, just getting everything prepped. Yeah, get ready, quit goofing around, man. Group of 4 in the Outlaw. What guides are steering what raft and getting everybody outfitted. Is everybody here? Yeah, I better get my boat out.
Wow.
Your chariot awaits. When we decided to start Swiftwater about 7 years ago, we're like, well, let's have in-raft guides, because I think it's going to be a more positive experience. It's going to be more fun for the family or groups and stuff like that, because in low water, you're not stuck on rocks everywhere, and in high water, you're hitting the best lines.
Hard, guys, paddle hard. There we go.
and then you can interact with the people more and give people a good experience, and that's always kind of been our goal since we started Swiftwater, is to give people an interactive adventure regardless of the water level. All that prep work and everything, and then once you just get on the river, even though, I mean, guiding can be hard and read, you know, but that's like your thing. So that to me is the easy part, you know. So it's just once you're on the river, the trip's going, it's like, all right, here we are. You know, that part is my favorite part.
All right, I got one other question for you. Are you ready to have some fun? Yes. Okay, those that said yes can go. Those that don't want to have any fun, you can hike up that way and then go back that way. It's kind of a lot of action right away. There's not much of a warm-up. We do a brief safety speech at the beach, and then the first rapid is a technical class 3, and then you run another class 3, like a 4-foot waterfall, and then you're in this canyon. So it's a lot of action right away.
You have to know it really well to take people down. We don't run class 5, you know, in rafts, but you have to be able to deal with situations and see situations before they happen, and that is something we take extremely seriously. We are really thorough in training all of the guides in not just how to run rapids safely, but how to interact with people, how to get them excited about the river, the hydrology, the geology, the flora, the fauna, all of those things make for a really complete experience.
This one's called Pinball. We'll get bounced around quite a bit, maybe do a 360 and maybe go through the last part backwards.
Here we go, paddle hard, paddle hard. Oh.
After we get through this one, we'll chill out in some calm water and then do some surfing.
One of my favorite things about doing this is getting people who are nervous or scared and just getting to spend the time with that one person to relate to them, to talk them kind of off the ledge. You know, we get people all the time that are ready to quit after the first rapid. Usually somebody who's scared almost to tears, when they get done, they got way more out of this trip than the person who was just excited and happy about everything. They're both gonna get a great trip, but it's a personal achievement for that one person to overcome that.
At first it was really scary, and then it was really, really fun. I would really recommend it, but just hang on.
In certain years, the upper St. Louis River gets too low to raft. So we're like, well, we don't want to be done rafting. It's, you know, middle of July, you know, and people still want to go, and we got employees that want to work. And so we kayak the lower a lot, and so we looked at it from a way to do a rafting trip, but also make it an interactive adventure. We'll just see how it goes. I mean, obviously we like trained for it. We were able to develop a trip out of it. So it actually happened out of necessity, you know, in our first year. There's so many cool things to see and do on that section of river, and it's only like 2 miles of river versus doing 5 miles altogether in the upper. So we wanted to find a way to do some side hikes.
Get the northern harvest going.
Some swimming.
Adventure swim!
Surfing waves, you can actually get a raft on a wave, like kind of like how a surfboard drops in, but a whole raft of people. And you know, you bury that raft in the wave, fills up the water, it's pretty dynamic.
We're sinking.
Still running rapids, you're still paddling, but we just put more in there to give people like a really solid 2 to 2.5 hour interactive adventure.
Something real important. When we run the last 2 rapids, are class 4. The second to last rapid is called Twisted Sister. You have the option to run that one twice, let your guides know. And then the last rapid is another class 3+4- rapid. That's a 4-foot drop, okay? But there's something I need to tell you about real quick. Even though the guides are really good, these features, because they're pour-overs or like waterfalls, sometimes people fall out and they can get recirculated in that river feature, okay? So what that means is you get stuck in it and it'll like be like you're in a washing machine for 1, 2, 3 times sometimes. All right, so what happens is I'm gonna be at the bottom setting safety, and I have what's called a throw bag. What it is, it's basically a bag of rope, and if you're caught in that river feature, I'll yell rope. You might not hear it, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but I'm gonna throw this bag of rope at you, and I'm gonna pull you out of that river feature.
I'm thankful that we're open, and I'm thankful that we're busy, and I'm thankful that people want to come rafting with us.
Actually, to paraphrase a friend of mine, it's just fun. You know, there's a lot of life lessons to be gained on the river in whitewater, but at the end of the day, it's fun.
Yep. Overall, I hope that it makes them care a little bit more about like conservation of like not just the St. Louis River, but just the entire world over, you know, and just make an emotional connection.
High fives.